Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Mark Marcewicz with Hayes Pump, and we did supply the Polymer feed system. Some of your faces look familiar from last week. Some of you guys don't look so familiar. Again, my name is Mark Marcewicz with Hayes Pump. Hayes Pump is the local distributor, and we did supply both the Gould's G&L pumps on the Polymer feed systems, along with your gear pump that's also on there for the Polymer feed. I've been with Hayes Pump for 25 years, and mainly the repair and field service departments. Right now I am the service coordinator, so if there is any problems that you have in the future, I do have some business cards available up here that please feel free to grab some before you leave. If there are any problems, I will be the one to contact as far as getting any type of a warranty claim or any type of a service call out here to find out what's going on and what we can assist you with and things like that. A lot of times, any type of small problems can also be resolved over the telephone just by calling up and let me know what's going on, and I might be able to have some pointers for you as far as what the issue could actually be. But the two pumps I'm actually going to be going through this morning are going to be on the Polymer feed pump, which is actually the little gear pump that you have. Again, that is going to be a typical low-end gear pump. There are no ball bearings or anything in this pump. It's strictly a sleeve-type bearing pump. It uses, it's a packed pump. It uses the lubrication to basically self-lubricate itself. Some of the designs on this, again, you got replaceable sleeve bearings that are on this. So again, any type of repair kits that are available on this, they do have little kits, gear kits, bearing kits, seal kits for packing or whatever you kind of need. They do offer the kits available to quickly change out. It's a complete repair on this. You're talking, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes worth of time from the time you pull it out, completely rip it down, repair it, put it back together again. So it is a fairly simple pump as far as any type of repairs go. However, it's maximum 10 gallons a minute pump or 11 gallons a minute. It's not going to be giving you a whole lot of gallons a minute out of the pump itself. But again, it's something that it's a progressive cavity pump. So again, it's a gear that'll go either way. It can, basically depending on which way the shaft is turning, it'll either pump out or suck back and forth, either way. So again, rotation is critical as far as the operation of this type of pump is, as far as if you're trying to get process going in one direction, rotation is very critical. So again, if something happens, rotation runs to reverse, your fluid will run reverse also. Lubrication, again, it's self-lubricated, so there are no grease ports, nothing on here. All the lubrication on these pumps are going to be self-lubricated through the product, through the polymer that's actually getting fed through there. So again, depending on the actual qualities and material of it itself is going to depend on how abrasive or how lubricating it's actually going to be as far as the longevity of this pump. So again, I'm not too familiar with the polymer that's actually going to be going through here as far as what the lubricating qualities of this actually are. But again, it is a sleeve bearing design. Viscosities will handle anything from 32 SSU all the way up to 100,000 SSU. So again, it does handle a large array of viscosities as far as what you're going to be actually pumping through. With the viscosity changes are going to come your actual GPM performance out of the pump itself. So again, you're on the system that you're running, it's just going to be the polymer feed. That's all that's going to be going through these pumps. It's just the polymer, hopefully. The mixing will be done after the fact, so you're not going to have to be worrying about too much unless, like I said, rotation or something does change and starts pumping the opposite direction after, something like that. Your drive options, you don't have any drive options anymore. It's pretty much supplied as is, which is going to be direct driven into a gearbox reducer, which is going to be directly into a Reliance motor also. So everything is going to be pretty much all set, done, and all that type of stuff. There is going to be a coupling in between the reducer and the pump, direct drive between the gearbox and the motor itself. On the accessories, the last section on there. Again, like I said, all these kits are available. When you buy any parts for this, you'll be buying everything in kit form. Again, the kit form is going to include, all your little parts, your O-rings, things like that, the stuff that you're going to need to do whatever you're intending to do. Whether if it's a worn-out gear, worn-out sleeve bushings, which may be something you guys may have to be doing, replacing the sleeve bushings, or packing adjustments, packing kits. Again, these are packed, so if you guys are familiar with packing, you know that it's a maintenance type item, something that's going to have to be maintained periodically as far as the drip rates go. Right now, I know I'd set up the packing on the loose side. This setup I actually did go down and spec'd and ran it a little bit just to make sure everything was running. We have the packing set very, very loose because until the system gets up and running to the way it's going to be, I don't want to over tighten it with the polymer because I want to make sure the polymer gets through the packing and starts lubricating it before I burn out the packing and over tighten it or anything like that. So once it gets up and running and I can get adequate flow through the packing, now we can start adjusting it. And like I said, that'll be something that Hayes Pump will be doing during the test cycles and all that type of stuff. So when it gets turned over to you guys, most of that stuff should be already done, adjusted, and all that. However, you do need to do periodic adjustments on the packing. If it starts dripping excessively, tighten down one flat. And again, on packing, I never tighten more than 1 to 2 flats on the nut itself as far as at one given time. Adjust it 1 flat. If it still seems excessive, adjust it 1 more flat. Give it a break-in period. Walk away for about a half an hour. Unless it's, spraying all over the place, that's a different story. But as long as it's dripping, let it break in, because a lot of times it takes a little bit for the compression to. A lot of times what you're doing is when you're compressing the packing, you're actually squeezing product out of the packing, actually pinching it out, so you get a false sense of, okay, now I tightened it up 1 or 2 flats, and it looks like it hasn't slowed down. It's leaking just as much. A lot of that can be still product getting through, and a lot of it can be product getting squeezed out of the packing. So you give it a false idea on what you've actually accomplished already. So again, if you tighten it too much and then you walk away, now the product eventually starts drying up out of the packing and starts burning up the product itself and scoring up the shaft. So again, whenever you're adjusting packing, it's keep it on a slow pace, 1 or 2 flats, give it a little bit of break-in period, and then reevaluate the situation. You might need to go back and do another 2 flats, but then, give it a rest. Again, on the next page, page 2.2, there is on the bottom chart, I included this one, which gives you the breakdown of the model number 3 pump that we actually have out there and what your flow rates are actually going to be. Again, we're talking very minimal flow going through the pump, and based on where we're going to be running, I think it's around 100 psi, I think ballpark, at about 900 RPM. So again, we're only looking at between 10 and 15, 16, 17 gallons a minute as far as getting out of this pump. So we're not moving a whole lot of volume out of this pump. And that's the way it's designed, is that it's just going to be more of a steady stream than it is large volumes coming through here. On the gearbox for the polymer feed, it's going to be supplied with a Reliance gearbox. The gearbox itself now is a sealed gearbox unit, so there's no vent on it, nothing like that, so you shouldn't be having any oil spillage out of it. There's really no way to do it other than leaking out of a gasket, leaking out of the lip seals when something gets worn. The unit itself is a factory sealed unit. Lubrication, it's factory lubricated with a synthetic grease or synthetic oil. The oil that's in there is a lifetime oil. It's good for the lifetime of the gearbox. If they do recommend, if you have to open up and do repairs in the gearbox, change out the oil while you're in it. And they strongly recommend to go back with their typical oil, which is the Kluber-Safe, and they give it as a UH1-6-460 synthetic lubricant. And again, Baldor Reliance absolutely swear by this oil as far as in their system. It doesn't need to breathe. A lot of these oils, you put them in there, they have to have breathers on them in order for them, as they heat up, the air is going to, you know, expand and contract as it heats up and cools back down again. This type of oil they've had great success with, where they don't need to do breathing, which now again keeps out contaminants. It keeps the oil in, and it keeps contaminants from getting into the oil to contaminate it. So again, they've had good success with the oil. So again, there's no maintenance to the gearbox. If you notice oil starting to spill around the gearbox, give Hayes a call. Let us know there's something gone wrong. And like I said, that's something that, you know, you guys are not going to have to worry about in remote future anyways like that. So if you need to do more things on this, there are some information as far as the gearbox and stuff, but again, it's already been installed. I've already, you know, witnessed the installation, verified alignments on everything. Everything looks good on this stuff. It's self-lubricated, doesn't need to be changed out, so you're not going to have a problem with it. But there is a lot of information on here in regards to the reducer itself. So if there's any questions on it, next page in is going to be on the installation on what you have as far as the gearbox, how the motor attaches to the gearbox. It is a internal spline that's on it. So again, the motor shaft is going to actually be inserted into the reducer, and then it's going to be direct driven. So again, you're not going to have alignment issues. Everything's been cleaned, witnessed, and verified. Everything looks good on that end. Again, you do have a coupling in between the gearbox and the pump. And again, that's something, again, we've already verified alignments on those things. Everything does look good. So again, that's again something that you're not going to have to worry too much about. I know I made mentions on some of the other pumps as far as pipe strain, things like that. Everything on here has been witnessed, and I'm not expecting any problems as far as alignments go on these and anything like that. Unless something horribly happens, or if you have to physically take a pump out and swap it because one just stopped working and you need to get something back up and running, there's no reason to have to start taking off the coupling guards and doing alignments and worrying about that type of stuff. Some motor information on the Reliance motor that's included with this also. The actual drawings you don't really need much of. The wiring connections, again, the only time you're going to need this is if you have to, the motor stops working, you need to get something back up and running. If you had to change it out and put a new motor in, that's in here. But as of right now, I've already physically checked through a pumping cycle down there, and like I said, the motors are wired properly now, gone through the drive system, and we've verified the drive, so everything is all set down there as far as operation goes. We haven't done our performance testing, things like that yet, but at the same time, it's as far as the installation goes, the wiring, the alignments, and all that type of stuff, that all has been checked and verified at this point. The next one I want to go to is the little Gould's G&L pump. It's a little GT irrigator pump. It's a end suction self-priming pump. You use a lot of these on irrigation systems, pool systems. It's just basically a water transfer type of pump. It's a good old reliable pump that they use for just moving water at lower capacities. Again, most of the information you have on there is all located in here. Installation, again, this has been installed, has been verified, the piping has been verified. It's a direct drive pump, so again, the motor shaft extends into the pump where everything's mounted on, so there is no alignments to worry about ever on this type of pump. The impeller has been changed out on these. We have gone with the original is a glass-filled Nortro, which is like a plastic impeller. That has been changed out, and you guys do have, I believe it was a stainless steel impeller that we changed out, put in there. So again, this information we're going to be telling you that it's the Nortro impeller is not accurate. You do have a stainless steel impeller in these things that we have supplied. So that's the only change from what is originally supplied in this as to what we actually install and set up down there. Everything else is going to be the exact same. The gallons per minute, all that type of stuff is all going to be the same. Wiring, rotation, this pump isn't going to be as critical as if the rotation changes. It's an end suction pump, centrifugal pump. So if you change rotation, it's still going to pump the right direction. However, your volume is going to be significantly less. As opposed to the gear pump, where if you change rotation, you change flow direction also. So this pump is a centrifugal pump. If rotation does get changed, it's a lot harder to diagnose because, again, it's in order to really see it, you have to actually get in and look at the motor because, again, there is no coupling to verify. You can't see the impeller. So, again, if rotation, if electrical work is done and wires or something's changed out or relays changed out, always verify that alignment is going to be in the right direction because, again, if rotation does change, your performance will change. However, like I said, everything else will still look the same. The flow will still be going in the right direction. The rest of the system will still be, working properly, except that all of a sudden you're just not going to have the right mix. Everything's going to be getting a little bit. The RPMs will probably be roughly about half of your RPMs of what you're actually going to be regular-wise. So, if you have to disassemble the pump, there is maintenance to this type of pump as far as the longevity goes, as far as polymer maybe getting bound up behind the impeller and things like that. That's something that over a period of time, if the pump has to be taken apart, cleaned, mechanical seal has to be changed out. These are things that are eventually going to have to be maintained and changed. If you have to pull this pump apart, there's not much to it other than popping the whole pump out of the casing, leaving the casing all in place on the piping and all that type of stuff with it. Once you pop it out, the impeller quickly comes off, and behind the impeller is going to be your diaphragm and then your mechanical seal. So again, you don't have a lot of parts. It's your impeller, your diaphragm, and your mechanical seal. Those are basically your three parts that could get damaged, wear, and get bound up with matter to be taken apart, cleaned up, and that type of stuff. So again, there's not a whole lot of maintenance on this entire system between the polymer feed and the polymer mixing pumps. One is actually going to be, your polymer feed is going to be more of a polymer feed pump, which is going to be dealing strictly with the polymer. Your feed pump is going to be actually taking the combined of the polymer and actually mixing it with water and creating your proper mix to it. So depending, if everything's working right, you probably are not going to have any problem with the polymer getting bound up in the pump itself. I know there are some concerns as far as if the system isn't working, if the flow, for some reason, the water flow coming in, a solenoid doesn't work, you get some ball valves on there, ball valve gets closed down or throttled down or something, and you get the wrong mixes. Now that's something, like I said, if polymer does get in here, we need